Welcome to Rugby 100 Club. My name is Matt Courtwright, and I'm introducing y'all. If you don't already know him, his name is Mike Brown. He is currently the assistant coach for the Houston SaberCats. Just went to the championship. Most successful season maybe to date for him. Definitely as a coach, but he's no newbie to championship situations. Hi, Mike.
What's up, Matt? Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Oh man, the pleasure is mine. I realize as I'm introducing you that I got the balls here, but I don't have a jersey yet. So I think we need to work on that sooner than later.
Let's get you a SaberCat jersey behind there.
I like it, dude. Let's do that. Well, for those of you that don't know Mike is a grounded human, about the most grounded coach in the MLR, in my personal opinion, one of, anyways. But then again, we all have favorites, and I'd be fooling everybody if I didn't say Mike was one of mine. So, Mike, how has it been since the season finished up, and you're now trying to catch your breath? I'm sure.
Yeah. After the season, obviously it was disappointing. Everyone wants to win the championship. So when you fight everything to get that close, things go fine margins in finals rugby. So, you get that close and you realize, not that every team, not every team is going to be the same year after year. So, not every player is going to come back and you're not going to be with them every single day after you just went 6+ months with them and you spend almost every day. And then come down from that to, understanding what is next, obviously, from the high, the lows, and now just like you said, catching our breath. Every motion sort of, was felt in between the past, 3 weeks.
Absolutely. For those that don't know, I'm going to play a little clip here to introduce Mike to the rest of you.
My name is Mike Brown. I'm an assistant coach for the Houston SaberCats, and also I am the academy director. Yeah, our academy compiles of different youth teams. We have our under 16 boys, we have our under 18 boys, and it's all building up to, for players trying to reach higher honors, trying to push their rugby acumen, and really just trying to push themselves to the highest level, eventually one day trying to be a SaberCat. We have tryouts twice a year to be able to be involved, and we want to leave it open, and we want the best team to be able to represent Houston. So we want, make sure there's any kid that has opportunity, whether it's girls or boys, there's always opportunity to be seen.
Yeah, now they know, bro. Now they know. We got to use that tech, right? I could throw it in there and just, hey, they already made a video. I don't need to make a new one.
Yeah, no, I also, do the academy. Love the academy. Love growing American players. Passion of mine, and growing Houston the rugby base just in general. So love the academy, and it's tough work growing the American players and the fan base, but it's definitely the most rewarding.
Yeah, you got a prodigy. Seth Smith's pretty fun to watch, and I interviewed him the other day, and he gave you a big old shout out, to say the least. And I can see why, because he has really become quite the success for such a young age in the MLR.
Yeah, I remember seeing Seth my first year when I think he was still 16, and trying to figure out where he wanted to do and where he wanted to go. Obviously, I saw it was a talented player playing against, he looked like a men against boys at that age against it. But, it takes a lot of work to get to the level, and you got to have the right attitude and the right mindset, the right maturity, understanding what it takes, and how to get you've been around other teams, and how the younger guys have to get respect around the older guys. And that takes just from hard work and understanding and putting your body out in front, let alone play in the front row. So playing in the front row, takes a lot of experience. Experience usually helps you out, especially with technical skills, whether if it's scrumming and throwing. And you have to be a sponge. And Seth, I have all the time today to learn with Seth, and it's an honor to, daily working with them every single day. And not everything, working, as I tell the academy boys, when they tell the youth players how to be Seth, or just Seth in general. Not every day is going to be just high to the highs. There's a lot of, ups and downs in between that road to get there. And it takes a lot of hard work, but most of the time we're just always trending upwards, and we're just trying to get better. But Seth, screams that work hard mentality, and the future, is really bright for him.
No doubt. No doubt. It's lucky to get those kind of players that actually want to learn and don't give you any grief. I think you said it when you said he's a man amongst boys. He's got like that old soul vibe to him. There's actually quite a bit of that I noticed on your team.
Yeah. With Seth, when he was 16, he was just bullying guys, and we had a senior academy at the time, and invited him to come train, and eventually got, all checked out waiver wise, because you have to get certain type of waivers, play in the front row. So he eventually started playing against the D1 teams like the Austin Blacks, the Dallas Reds, when he eventually turned to age 17. So he was playing against men at 17. And I actually, similar to myself, when I played 17, I played for a club back in Michigan when I first started, and that helped me playing against men in the front row at the age of 17 really helped me with my journey. You can't physically overpower them at that stage. So that's what Seth was really good at, physically overpowering players at his age. So it really made him to work on his scrummaging, his throwing, his technical aspects of the game, playing up against grown men. And obviously, once he completed going up against senior club level men, he slid into the SaberCats, and that obviously took time to be able to, compete at that level. But like I said, you got to be able to, work hard. And, we had, this past team, we had some really good guys, some really good leaders, like a Talatasi, guys that want to help them out, like Ezekiel Lindenmuth, like a Pono Davis, guys that are Wilton Rebello. These are guys that play international rugby at the highest level and want to learn. And, that's a recruitment piece of it as well. So it takes, it does take two to tango as well, from the player and from the coaches and who you sort of pick. So those are the type of guys that, you look for when you're recruiting players.
Yeah, no, love it. Love it. Love it. I got nothing on that. I got nothing to add to that, Mike. You're just so fluid, man. I love it. I want to show you coach, and I want to show a little video of how you coach Seth and the other boys, especially you being a former hooker and having such expertise.
Yeah.
Proof in the pudding.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's hard work. And, I'm just looking, the guy that's filming, that's Nathan DeHoot, the captain's trying to get feedback on the, how Seth can throw. And that drill's all about just, keeping your hands up, and sort of where your hands end up, the ball goes, I believe. And, it's all about, again, with Seth, it was, these guys are going to be jumping at max height. It's about throwing at max height, and you can't be throwing at 80% on the guys. You have to throw at 100% all the time, and you don't know when that opportunity goes. And that was a big play. San Diego was undefeated. We were undefeated at the time. And you look at the score, they actually jumped in the up front, which is something they usually didn't do. And, if Seth didn't have that mindset, I need to hit max height on my throws every single time. And it was actually to Nathan. That ball probably gets intercepted by Jed Holloway, and we score a maul try there, and the score was 17-7. He makes it 24-7. The game's over there. So, that's a lot of work. And, that's just one tiny example throughout the year that, hard work you do the extras afterwards, and afterwards, before, during the week, and then sort of just all adds up. But as a coach, I don't have to push. Seth's usually pushing me, always asking when we throw, and it's, I always make the time. Well, it's part of my job. I always want to work with them as well, but he's always the one that's like, I have to throw. And usually, sometimes telling, the younger guy when is less is more sometimes as well. And sometimes Seth just wants to always go. And sometimes, there is diminishing returns of how much you can work throughout the week to get better at a skill. But he is learning that. And like I said, it all pays off, and his future is super bright.
You're a hell of a coach, man. I love that. I love how excited you get talking about your players. Honestly, that's so genuine.
I love like the forwards. They know in my meetings throughout the year, the expectations and the energy. For me as a coach, if I don't bring that energy, I get energy from coaching and talking about rugby. If I can bring that energy towards that, how can I bring my players to expect that throughout the year and throughout the week? And as you know, the season can get long and mundane, and you got to be able to connect with them and understand, what their triggers, but they know, at least as they know, Coach Mike's going to be, prepared and bring the most utmost enthusiasm to each training session.
It's hard to do. Easier said than done, that's for sure. How do you let's be real, man. Like, you've been playing MLR since it began, and so you've played with some of these cats. Who is on your team that you played with?
I played with Larome, Jeremy Misulago, AJ Alatimo. Who else did I play with? I mean, I played against Nathan, played against Johan, played against Marnu. A lot of back. Dom, played against Dom. Who else did I play against? I'm trying to think right now.
I think the others are all too young. I mean, I don't,
Yeah, no, all those guys are a little older. They were, a lot of those Marnu, Johan were from, Life University when they played for them when I was playing in New York as well. So played against them, but for them, it's just a respect factor. All those guys I respect very highly, and they know about that, and they're super good players. That's why they keep playing. So, it's obviously, as a coach, it's, a little awkward. Obviously, AJ, know AJ well. It's a huge respect factor going back and forth, and where the boundary is, and they're grown men, almost the same age as you. So you go in there with your knowledge and making sure if they have anything that they want to add, they feel comfortable collaborating with you, because it's just not the coach has all the answers. It's, a collaboration of what they feel comfortable to. And you have really good players, and a lot of those guys have really good rugby minds. So it's more of a collaboration with those type of guys.
Yeah, I'd say the IQ on your team is immense. I felt drawn the last 2 years. I felt drawn to the Houston SaberCats in general, just because of the characters you have on your team. They're such genuine humans, as well as just polished, like, rugby IQs.
Yeah, that's a recruitment strategy as well. We're trying to get certain, like you said, certain type of players. It does help when, you bring back cohesion's a big factor too. And some of these guys also, played with each other in Samoa, Australia, NPC, in different parts of the world. So, we got a lot of Austin guys as well. So there's some, cohesion there too that plays a factor. But it's the second year, so guys, have that experience. We're an experienced team wanting to learn. But like you said, they're all just trying to go, I think, for a common goal was, to win it for, the SaberCats and the organization. And given where the franchise was and how it ended, in year one with that group in 2024, there's a lot of motivation, and obviously there's a lot of ups and downs throughout the season, but that's, the guys sort of knew what's our identity, how we're going to play at the end of the day. And that's probably what got us into the finals.
Again, yeah, no, the playoffs last year and then the finals this year, man, to me, it should have been 2 years in a row. I was rooting for you, man. But this year, to go all the way, to see you guys in Rhode Island at the championship, that was a lot of fun. How did the boys do with the heat and the humidity during the game seemed very like Houston.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was a normal day for us, to be honest. The sun wasn't out, so I think we were sort of happy. I mean, we were in black jerseys, so I think we coached the guys how we wanted to play. Like I said, one or two things could have went either way, but I think at the end of the day, and our guys would totally agree, we just had too many turnovers. On the end of the day, you look at the stats. We wanted to, like I said, we wanted to play this certain type of way to play New England. If we clean up a couple turnovers, we take the ref out of it. So it's still New England on the better day. The guys, they played better on it, but obviously we were still really proud of everything that we have accomplished, because it's been a 2-year journey.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely proud. I mean, to get to the championship, everybody else has to go home and go to the pub and watch it. You know what I mean? You're there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
someone else lose the final.
So hey, the boys looked like they were in great spirits, especially into the playoffs and the Western Conference. I saw some stuff on social media of you creating some shenanigans with the boys, some nothing crazy, but like great bonding is what I saw. And then of course sing-alongs after the Western Conference. That was pretty fun to watch. I figured I'll share that with everybody so they can see what we're talking about and what you have going on when you're not coaching and when you're keeping the mood up and all the excitement and motivation behind more than just correcting.
I've seen him. Nice move. One more. Come on.
The stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Houston. The stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Houston. The stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Houston.
Yeah, it's a great night. A lot of hard work that was put into that. The video before, you got to connect with people outside the game, and it's a people business as well. And how can we know people outside of rugby? How can we create bonds without, everything is a performance, right? So everything is based on how we do on the field. How can we create a bondage with no expectation on the field, just knowing the person and having a goal? So I set up mini teams. We call it mini teams. The guys might hate me for how persistent I am, but every week we fit it in there, and we have different challenges throughout the year. And that one was I think it was a straw challenge. They had a relay race straw challenge. Wasn't the most favorite one, but the guys, you could see they get competitive in it, and we keep tally of it. And the losers, this year, I don't know if you've seen some guys might have made some certain TikToks online. And if you were the losing team in that sort of round, you had to make a TikTok to help, sell tickets or something like that, or some, social media would do that. So we would keep tallies and points. And if you were the last place, so the guys that are really bought in, you don't have to worry about it because you're really competitive and you're really winning. So they, laughingly punishes the guys that maybe are in last place, and every team sort of lost. So we had probably about, how long the season is, about 20 different types of challenges that we had throughout the week. And we do. I think this year we did it on a Monday, but it sort of connected guys to be able to compete. Everyone had to do it, and they would all it made great chat to be able to have that close bond. And you see the wins. You see the wins over there and how we're all connected, and I think many teams plays a huge role in that. And like I said, I'm laughing right now because guys would be like, Mike, what kind of dumb game do you have now? But at the end of the day, they all bought in and we're laughing about it. And there's a lot of good games, a lot of embarrassing stories that comes out of it.
I don't know why it is with us men, but we bond so well when we embarrass each other on a regular.
Yeah, you should see the other video I think I put up was we had a quarterback challenge, a 1v1 quarterback challenge, and
I saw that.
Yeah, and we went back and forth, and this one time, it was all over, all the points were tallied, but during this time we have Drake Davis, who played wide receiver at LSU. And we had this, we have Jay Renton, who's a Kiwi, but loves American football a lot. So during this whole buildup, there's a lot of smack talk between Jay and Drake. And so Jay just called out Drake and said, "Hey man, I'm going to absolutely dominate you one-on-one. I'm going to get open." And Ronan Murphy's the all-time quarterback. And he's just like, "All right, let's draw up a route." And Drake's like, "I got you covered." And, Drake is, 6'4", and Jay's 5'9", and from Kiwi, and so everyone's watching, and Jay's like, "I'm gonna, absolutely cook you." And you saw the video, and he makes a move and goes in and out, and cuts on the inside of Drake, and actually gets the completion. And everyone, blow the whistle up, and everyone's going crazy. Couldn't believe that. A Kiwi scrum have absolutely burned Drake, who's D1 college football player, and everyone went crazy, and that was chatted about the whole year. So it was a good time.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, the camaraderie. I swear, like there's so much more than just the skill set. Like you getting everybody together like that is just everything a team needs. You need those bonds, those shenanigans that are so outside of the normal practice.
Yeah,
So,
I totally believe it. Helps build connection, and not say I think it helps us, win close games in the season. To be honest, it builds those bonds, and I think about that LA game and Kunitani stepping out of bounds 2 meters short of the try line, stuff like that. When guys were, I think that it was 12 versus 15 or something like that. We're 3 men down or 2 men down, 13-15 with the last second. That's how, in my opinion, that you sort of fight for each other there and be like, okay, like I know this guy, left and right of me. And, that's how you sort of build the connection, because everyone's from different parts of the world. And, it's a short preseason. It's a long season, but it's a shorter preseason. So you have to be intentional with those bonds. And, that's one of the different ways to be able to do it. There's different ways to build connections, but competing, like you said, guys like to compete and talk crap about each other and do something else rather than rugby, right? So you just can't be pushing the buttons of rugby. How many meetings can we have without rugby? Whilst keeping the main thing. I think we did a good job as well, keeping the main thing. But how can we have some fun in between there and while stay connected? I think it does pay off at the end. And you look at different goal line stances we have. I think that's why you play for each other and you understand, you build that bonds. At least that's how I felt as a player as well.
No, that's spot on. Proof is in the pudding, Mike. And you've stepped up. And the last interview, I don't expect people to have watched it, but like the last interview, you and I were chatting, and it's like, outside looking in, I've got the best seat in the house. I've got to watch you go from a massive player, influential, went to the championship, 22, played in New Jersey at Red Bull Stadium for Seattle against New York. And then the next season, you're running HTX, running the academy, getting things running. The next season after that, you become an assistant coach here for Houston. And, last season you guys had the best record of everybody up into the playoffs. And then this season to go all the way, get the Western Conference, go all the way to the championship. You know what, man? If anything, you need to start popping your collar once in a while. That's what I'm thinking. That's absolutely immense.
Yeah, no, a lot of hard work, especially during these type of months. The hard work, your fate's in the work rate's in your own hands. So if you want to have the success, you got to be the hardest working guy. There's a lot of stuff that it takes to be the hardest working guy in coaching, and it's a lot of learning. You don't know everything. It's a lot of watching the film. It's irons, and as well working with guys like Vic Meyer, Ryan Nell. Those are younger coaches. Iron sharpens iron. How we want to go and how we want to go, how we want to play. And we're just very passionate and love work, love the grind of getting better. And every day we can, be able to get better, to be able to get there. And like I said, just with Seth, it's never just up and down. And, it's never just straight up, so it looks from the outside, that it just goes straight. I just go, my trajectory, just goes straight there. But from the inside, there's been, highs and lows, so it's all about even keel and understanding that you got to work hard every day. No job's too big to be able to, no job's too big for you. And I learned that from Pote, and Heineke's, still a great mentor of mine, and we talk all the time, and I appreciate his mentorship for that as well. And I just have, a lot of passion in the game, and I love the league. I love coaching Americans. So I just see, there's so much potential there, but it takes a lot of hard work to develop these guys to, get to the next level.
Well, on that, because there are South Africans that you are coaching with and for and mentored by. Um, Little fun for thought if nobody knew that. Where was it that you figured out that you liked rugby?
Yeah. My dad moved us to South Africa at the age of 12. He worked for Chrysler, and they had a partnership with Mercedes. So I lived there. He had a job for about 3.5 years, 4 years. Thought I was done playing rugby. I went back to Michigan, and my mom found a high school club and got into the All Americans. And yeah, found myself in USA Rugby and understood everything that comes around it. But yeah, that's sort of how I sort of got my way into, that's why with Heineken was interested, because I had, a South African background. So it all works out.
Yeah, Birmingham. If I got my notes
Yeah,
correct.
Birmingham Buccaneers. Shout out to them. I love them. And like you said, I think I have obviously South Africa is a great rugby nation and so much passion, but I also had some great high school coaches that shaped me as well. That wanted to continue to play and understood the sacrifice to be able to have it and the passion of the game. So it's sort of all encompass of everything of your environment and who you get coached by as a player.
Yeah, and so we're gonna continue to elaborate on that. I got a little video that I made for you for it. Let's go. Coming up, buddy. Coming up. It's so much fun.
Looking young. I can't believe,
look at that
back
guy.
now 4 days. Yeah. I mean, 4 years almost, or just over 3 years from last playing. Different person. You look back like, yeah, I played. It's a good remembrance of a played.
It's kind of fun. Like I'm trying to take you down memory lane because you're so much more than just a coach, man. There's just so many layers to you. Like we've talked about the coach part. I want to talk about the player part now. I want to talk about okay, so you're the first year. Actually, let's start before the MLR, shall we? With Old Blue.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 years if I recall correctly.
Yeah, played there. Old actually rugby New York coach Marty Veal recruited me to come out there, and played with some great guys before MLR. You had guys like I was playing with Nate Osberger, Ryan Mattias, Cam Dolan, who else? Dean Muir that played in MLR for a while. I get a list can go on and on. I had a lot of great players there. Connor Wallace-Sims. There's a lot of guys that were really good that played internationally, and it definitely helped my rugby acumen playing for Old Blue.
Yeah, no, it's fun to watch the relationships of UOGs. I mean, there's a group of you around the same age, and everybody's doing a little something different. Some are still playing. You're coaching. Some guys have gone on to different careers. It's fun to watch you pioneers because at the end of the day, you really are the pioneers of rugby in America.
Yeah, I also forgot to include, Dylan Foster, the butcher. He played with me for a bit, so learned, a bunch off him. All those guys are sort of ending their careers or maybe still keep on going like a Nate. But I knew my time was done, so I'm glad I'm on my second one. But those guys, they're huge, playing with them, and they've had great careers and great people, and they did a lot for the game, and continue to do so.
So when the MLR started, did you go right to New York and then get loaned out to Austin Elite? Is that how it played out?
Yeah, so played in New York. Mike Toklin was the coach. Played there. I think we played 2 or 3 exhibition games. I can't remember right. So they were just trying to build out the fan base and play in the spring and go into 2019. And so played with them. And I got a call actually from Austin, and they were just like, well, our hooker at the time was Pete Malcolm, and great guy, great player. Yeah, and he tore his ACL actually. And he was like, well, they're not going to be back for, he's not going to be back for the season, so they need a hooker. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm interested. Actually, it was a good time in my life to be able to do it. And so traveled down to Austin and just was there for the experience of that myself. A guy named Ross Deacon that played in New York, and Marcus Walsh went down there from New York, got loaned out to Austin, and played there. And played with some great guys. In Austin, it was a short time, but playing with a guy like Todd Clever was playing there. Both Suniola brothers, Roland and Andrew, played on the team. So played with some great guys. Patty Ryan was down there. I forget who else was there, but there's a lot of great guys that played down there in Austin. Had a good time for that. But yeah, loaned out and then came back to New York in 2019.
Yeah, and again, I think Lerome was on that team. No, Lerome was
maybe one. No, he was still with Seattle. We played him in Seattle. That's when you guys won it.
My bad. I remember he was still with Elite though, like for that one. I think there were only 2 years Elite.
Yep.
But okay. So then you played for Rooney for 2 years. Is that correct? Following Austin, or was that with Austin?
Yeah, 2019 and 2020 unfortunately got cut short. But yeah, played for both years for him. Enjoyed it. We had great teams. Some really good players on that team, or both. I would say on both years. 2020, we really thought. I'm sure other teams thought that, but we just thought we had a really good team with it. We had some really good players like Matthew Bastero, Ben Foden. We also had Honko. We had Nate Brakely. We had a lot of great guys on the team. Chris Mattina was playing on the team. So we just thought we had a really good team. Fortunately, I think we played first 2 games were out in Vegas. So that was interesting, playing our first 2 games out in Vegas. But, we thought we had a good team, but obviously, COVID had otherwise. So, the season was over. But yeah, enjoyed the 2 years in New York. Really enjoyed it.
Those were some crazy years at the beginning of MLR. Rugby really started, it was growing, it had good momentum, and then the pandemic hit and it just like crippled everything.
Yeah. I think 2019, Seattle beating San Diego at the end with the Mall. That was a great final. For New York, we didn't feel too bad for San Diego because the week before, Joe Peterson hit a game-winning try at the end or hit a game-winning conversion at the end. Those guys are great guys, but we were like, what comes, you win by the sword, you die by the sword. So it was great to see that. See in Seattle. I didn't know I was going to play for Seattle at the time, but glad they won.
Yeah.
Glad they won. But yeah, it was a great year. It was a great year in 2019, and I think 2020 was going to even get better. Going forward. But yeah, just COVID had different plans. But for myself, it was looking back at it, was tough for myself because New York was going through a different change in ownership right when COVID happened. That same year, the Kiwis took over. Like that same week, I should say, and COVID took over, everything changed. So obviously with new ownership, things changed. At the time, it was a big disruption because my wife was there. We got married. We thought we were going to get married, during our bye week of our regular season, and that happened to be COVID. So things just sort of shifted. Obviously it was disruption, but it was, I look back at it, it was the best thing for me.
Well, then you went and 21. You went and played at Houston.
Yep, playing 21.
And what some people don't know is that you helped Jesuit High School win their state championship.
Yeah, to give you a little backstory, actually, I was signed by the Dallas Jackals in 21.
Okay, I was confused on that because that was all mixed in there too.
Yeah, so actually that's how I knew Clarkie. He recruited me to go play for Dallas in 21. And obviously they did not exist. So I actually moved before everything existed, or before they collapsed, not collapsed, but before they stopped playing in 21. I actually moved down there to start the high school season earlier. So, moved my wife all down to Dallas and got a new dog, and thinking we're going to be moving into these new apartments. And the same week they say, oh, they're not a team. So we didn't have we just had to stay in the hotel. Luckily we had some family, but figured it out for a couple, 2 months until the high school season was done. And I was like in Dallas. So I was like, might as well just keep coaching. In there, I had a really good relationship with the coach that I just met. Great people at Dallas Jesuit. So I was they got my foot into, I knew I coached some things in New York. But from there, I really knew that it was like, all right, I really enjoy this. Had a lot of success, had some really cool players, learned a lot. And it wasn't not the, it didn't matter. We won the championship, well, undefeated. It was great. Loved it. But right when that happened, at the end of the championship, there was an injury with the SaberCats, one of their hookers, and they called me right down, and they said, we're looking for someone there, and I was, I still felt like I could play, so didn't want to hang up the boots quite yet. So we just took the drive from Dallas to Houston after the season was done, and 3-hour drive, stayed in for a couple months in Houston. Obviously, the team wasn't very good, but for me, it was a great opportunity to keep on playing, get my name out there, to get signed for 2022.
Yep, and you did, and that's when I got to meet you, and that was fun as hell.
Yeah, no, that was moved out to Seattle. Like I said, I knew Clarkie from the Dallas, from him being signed to Dallas, and we had that connection. So as he was finalizing his squad, he said, "Do you want to come out there?" And I was, we moved all the way back to, we didn't have anything in Houston, so we moved back to drove up to the East Coast to visit my wife's family, and he flew my wife and my dog out there into Seattle for the season.
Incredible. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, no, 22 to me was symbolic. And I mean, meeting you, of course, and a couple other hooligans that we have discussed. Because I remember that year, my wife and I went to every single game for the Seawolves that year. Absolutely bananas. And you guys end up taking the team to the championship.
Crazy year in itself in the league, LA, Austin, all this going on when, as well as we keep on we think we're out, we're in. It was an up and down year. Like you said, I think we had a lot of talent on the squad, but I think we had inconsistent performances throughout the year and some close losses here and there. So at the same time, we thought we had some really good talent. The standings, I think we finished fourth, but that's how, sports work, and we just get told when to play. So it's a weird year in itself. At the same time, I love Seattle because my twins were born in Seattle. So at that same time, when everything was going down, I'm having twins. So it was a crazy time in that whole end of 2022 year season.
That was a lot of fun. Absolutely a blast. Yeah, let's talk about your family, man. Like that's the root of this all, and the fact that your wife Ariel is so easygoing with you doing all this is amazing in itself. The lady behind you must be a very strong woman, is all I can fathom.
Yeah, she sacrifices a lot, moving away from her family to be able to be here. Obviously, taking care of the kids for a lot of coaching takes up a lot of the time to be able to do that. Especially in season, obviously off season is a little different, but in season, there's a lot of sacrifices throughout the year, long hours. So for her to be able to do that, I can be where I am without, my wife being able to, sacrifice, her own family, being away from her family and taking care of the boys a lot of the time.
Yeah. There's not enough credit given to the wives and girlfriends of you guys, because they're a team player harder than most any team. Well, they're a better team player than any teammate you've ever had, in all sincerity, especially when you start bringing kids in the mix and such like that. You're moving all over who knows hell's half acre, and unreal. So I again got a little real here to show off your family to everybody, as well as your queen, of course, because it always starts with you and the queen. So I'm going to play that real quick, and we'll talk about Theodore and Ezekiel as well.
Great video. Yeah. No. Yeah, they I'm laughing now because they're like nice and sweet there, but now they're just kicking each other and headlocking each other at this stage. They're just over three now. And so, just the rule is no headbutts, no headbutts. They had one of them biting the other one now. So, it's all, they love the rugby field. They love the rugby field. They love scrum sled, which is good news for me. But what a great place to bring them up by a rugby pitch, right? One of the best places. So laughing now, but yeah, a lot of my wife had a lot of sacrifice, a lot of time with them while I was, working. So as they're growing, it's fun to get them, share my passion and let them have a peek inside of what I do.
Yeah, no, it's only going to get better, right? You're still polishing yourself. And yet alone these guys get to see dad, and they will never know you as a player. As funny as that reality is.
I'm sure they'll try to find some type of highlights that'll be out there, but
reach out to Uncle Matt. I'll help him out.
There we go. They can look at it and criticize me from there.
Oh yeah, they will. They will. Yeah. I got my son's 26 now, and now it's like I'm no longer this action hero that you're currently living. It's I'm normal human that you can criticize and talk about any way you want now.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait.
It's a lot. Yeah. No. Take your time. You're blinking. It's here. It's so fun. What kind of they're 3? Is that correct?
Yeah, just over 3. Yep.
That's so good, man. So good. Wow.
Yeah, they actually we did it last week. There's a program here in Houston just talk about the sport that's growing, rugby tots, and it's for little kids, and these expats started up a program from the from youngest to 3 all the way up to like 9, and they're learning rugby to a degree for it. So they like it. They like it. They love they love doing it. So start them early.
That's good. That's awesome, actually. I got a random question for you. Like this, I want people to know more about you. I mean, yeah, you're a coach, you're a player, but man, this dad and family and what kind of food do you guys eat around the house? What kind of meals do you like to have?
I mean, my kids, we just try to give them as much protein as possible, but their diet's all over the place. Usually just protein or nutrition bars. We try not to give them as much candy as possible. They love sweets. They love cake. One kid though does like a little more broccoli, which is good, which makes it, randomly likes broccoli. But a lot of meat, frozen meatballs from Costco is a big thing in our house. Quesadillas. For myself, like you said, my wife makes me, luckily is a good cook and makes something different, something healthy. For me, maybe some chicken parm. That's my favorite meal for it on a good night. But yeah, anything with some protein, everything like that. I'm not from my playing days. I'm not a big eater as I was. I just sort of just try to just not eat as generally as much. Probably just try to eat just dinner, maybe a protein drink for lunch. That's really about it. Some coffee. So that's pretty much for me. So it just makes the meals easier, but it's, didn't need to keep on, the weight as I was, playing in the front row as I do now.
When you and Ariel get a night out, where do you go?
We'll go to a Mexican spot that's by here. So Emma's Grill, which is by here, which is a good Mexican spot. And, you're in
the area that you're in for Mexican food is on point. Like people may not know that Kirby Drive is kind of over in the not as pristine area of Houston, but it's funny enough. Like I get off, we flew into Hobby, and we're heading home, and I'm telling my buddy Brian, I'm like, dude, I'm hungry. I need to eat. I need some Mexican food. I need some tacos, bro. We're in Houston, and we pull in this place that just looks like we don't belong there. And I'm like, let's get some food. We go in there, and it was some of the best food, the best Mexican food I ever had. I don't think any of us. I just pointed at the menu, said what I needed. They didn't know what I was saying. I didn't know what they were saying, but everything was good at the end of the day.
Yeah, there's some great Mexican food in Houston. I think the barbecue goes to Austin. I think that's the best place for barbecue in Texas. So I think the Mexicans that's a Houston thing.
So tell me, in all your years of rugby, out and about, shenanigans and all that fun stuff, what's one of the hairiest situations you found yourself in?
I think when Atlanta used to be a team, there's some the ATL boys and the Life boys used to work at this place called Buckhead Saloon, and it wasn't a very good spot in Atlanta. And you might hear some gunshots if you were close by. So you can go on the wrong side of Atlanta really quick. I learned. So that was probably in all the years that was some interesting parts of Atlanta that I don't want to go back to. But it was a good time with the guys. It was a good time. They know how to, I'm sure the Life University guys there right now would know where it's at. But yeah, Buckhead Saloon, that was the spot for all the Atlanta post game stuff.
Oh, college days.
Fun stuff. But yeah, it was glad there was no serious things that went on.
Right. Okay, so hey, the youth that want to get involved, tell me, what do you suggest they do in order to start playing rugby and to start climbing up the totem pole of success?
Yeah, I mean, just get started as soon as possible. Find a local rugby club, get involved. If it's with your school, get involved. If you're close by an MLR city, reach out to them, figure out where the best programs are, even their state state organization, I say, like a Rugby Texas for our state or Rugby Washington in Seattle. They'll be happy to guide you. But just more touches on the ball, play as many games as you can. If you're really seriously in that developmental range between 16 to 23, I suggest you getting at least 15 games of rugby a year, preferably 20. If you can, that's really tough. Including sevens. Like I said, I'm not a huge sevens guy, but there's development tools for that too, and learning different games and playing different formats of it. But I would suggest, between 15 to 20 games, and a lot of, I'd probably say just in that age range, or just in general, probably we're not, as American group, we're not fit enough to play this game, and we need to get a lot fitter to be able to have more success. And I'm talking that from the age of 16 all the way up to the age of 30. Guys are not fit enough to be able to play this game at a high level, at the level that needs to be taken. And that's just my opinion. And if we get our fitness right, our skills will get there. But if we just keep on working our skills and not our fitness, every single time whoever's played a game of rugby is, when you're tired, you don't make good decisions. So I just think it starts from there. I know that's very basic, but our fitness is not, as a country, in my mind, not where it needs to be at to be successful.
Yeah, no, we've all watched it. Any of us has been around. Yeah, we watched some of the amazing NFL players and such, and it's a different skill set. It's a different game. So I'm not here to bash it as much as point out the fact that the stamina and that it takes to play rugby versus other sports is just, it's a lot more fluid. There's a lot more running going on. And if you're not fit, as like they're not thinking clearly, and you really got to collect yourself at times on the pitch, because as we know, those dark arcs exist for a reason, and it's for those guys that are fatigued, that are not concentrating on their responsibilities of their position for their teammates, and they start getting tired and they start getting caught up in the drama, and next thing you know, they're falling apart and the other team's just putting them over their knee and paddling them.
Yeah, you look at like a guy like Drake Davis. I had him when he had never played a rugby game in his life. So you have a guy like we talked about, Seth, that's played from 16 and, has been through the pathway local, took all the steps to get there. And you have a guy like Drake Davis, who's never touched a rugby ball, and having to develop him every single day to be able to get there. Obviously, I'm not a backline, but from the academy, he's, I built him back up. I've seen every rugby game he's had, and he's worked on his fitness tremendously as a back three cover. And that's just, that he's a lead athlete. And, I just think he could play right now for America. Right now, I have what he did at the end of the of the SaberCats season was something I've been talking about for the past year that he could be able to do, but he's deserved a shot and be able to caught up. But fitness and defensively, if you talk about the football standpoint, football is not really a spacing game. It's more, the contact game. And some of these guys really struggle with the spacing, especially defensively, especially in those back three positions that they have to rotate their backfield in. The spacing of it, they take a while, or when to slide and when to move up in the back line. You could be really exposed there. And that takes a lot of time. That's, again, it comes back with recruiting good people like a Drew Wild, like a Talatasi, like a Sam Hill, guys that are be able to take time and to actually develop those guys to be able to get better in the back line. And he's worked with some really great guys to be able to help him there, who's played at Super Rugby, who's played at, Premiership with Sam Hill over 50 games. So that type of stuff, is invaluable within our system. And it takes a while and Drake, he couldn't run a Bronco. I think he ran like an 8-minute Bronco his first time, and he was out of shape and everything. And I actually played him his second game of rugby. I needed him to get involved more. And I think we were playing against Nola Gold's Academy, and I put him at 8-man to learn the game a little more, get some hands on the ball before he went to wing. But he wanted to be subbed out every 10 minutes. And so he eventually got up there in that acumen and that experience, and he had to play, a certain amount of games and understanding a certain amount of environment. But now he's one of the fittest guys, there. And he'll tell you, himself, that the game's a lot easier when he's fit and be able to make the right decisions and talk to people. So that's an elite athlete, and not everybody, not in America, you're going to get every single type of elite athlete. So fitness is something you can control, and there's certain types of different fitness. It's not running, it's big believer in back fitness as well. And there's different types of drills to get guys in shape in the game of rugby. And like you said, I think that's why that's something we harped on this year for the guys, and I think more of it can be done in America.
And it worked, dude.
Yeah. The process, the results, you don't want to dictate, everything by the results of it, but it's a process that you believe in it. And hopefully, more times than not, you can get that process into, those results.
Says a lot. I mean, for me, dude, that says so much that you took this athlete, and thank goodness he was an athlete and he had that can-do attitude. But then, he didn't quit and he didn't crumble when he realized that he wasn't as fit as he probably thought he was. And then, of course, your coaching, to try and motivate guys is a lot harder than people recognize. People are all so different, and you got to talk to them differently, and not everybody has that ability to connect with them and figure it out like you do. And again, I love to give you accolades for your success. I know that you don't want to base everything off your success, but Mike, at the end of the day, the last 2 years, you've been the assistant coach for the SaberCats, and the last 2 years of SaberCats have been the best they've ever been. So outside looking in, I'm saying, yeah, no, proof is in the pudding, and I can't wait to see what's next. I
appreciate that so much, Matt. Like I said, I just have a huge passion growing this game. And take a little step back. We talked about that Seth Smith throw earlier and see all the hard work. I don't know if you remember how Drake Davis scored. He scored off that shoulder ball from 9 from the ruck. He sort of hid behind the 9 and he came around off his wing and got the ball. That was a full year of working with Drake and understanding this is something that you should be very good at. And it takes a lot of time of when to get off your wing and work on the inside ball. And there's a lot of value into, usually in those pillar ranges, you go up against those big, slower guys that are out of shape, right? And making bad decisions on their tackles. And you bring a guy like that off the shoulder to be able to score. Obviously I'm not a 9, so it takes guys like Andre Warner who have the experience and Jay Renton to be able to teach them, and Rufus McLean, guys that have played at top levels, to be able to give them more feedback. Because again, it's just not from a coach, it's a collaboration standpoint. And that try from Drake was a whole year of working every day, not every day, but a lot of times of understanding. It took him a while to understand when to come off his wing, when to get that shoulder ball to get involved. And like that's why it was a huge try for myself, because there's a lot of times that, we talk to Drake and understanding when to insert himself and when to get into the game, obviously with his rugby experience to be able to be involved. But that was a huge, even though we lost, that was a huge success. And like I said, I love the game, and I love coaching Americans as well, for that, to be able to learn the game and get those light bulb switch moments onto them. But I appreciate it, Matt. There's a lot more work to be done, and for myself, I have big goals in myself, but I know it's just hard work, and I'm in no rush to be able to get to where I want to go. There's no rush for it. I just want the right time to be able to be done, and whatever happens going forward or anything like that, I just want the right opportunity and the right place for it. And I'm proud of I'm proud of everything that we've done in Houston, and it takes the players got to play and they got to buy in. So like I said, I love the guys that be able to that played for the SaberCats, and that played in especially the guys that I worked with a lot within the forwards to play for someone that just not myself, but Coach Bota and Coach Heineke played with the forwards every single time, and bring a certain expectation and characteristics that sort of pop up when you think about Houston SaberCat rugby.
Well done. What's next, bud? I want to know, what's this off season entail for you, man? Like, everybody kind of says the same gist. You got any details you can give me without like letting any cats out of the bag, so to speak?
Just getting better professional development, reaching out. That's where Heineken sort of helps me out, just other coaches as well, to be able to connect with them. Obviously still want to, I think we're going to still do the U16 stuff, and we're actually going to build out a U14 boys team as well, just to get them further, instead of, U16s was great because, I still love the pathway stuff. I just can't get enough of just growing great young players and connecting them with the team. So, and I, as well, last year, I think I had Davey Kutsia and Nathan DeHoo coach the U16 boys. So they all, I love helping. I think coach development thing is something that's lacking here. And I want to give the coaches that are interested in coach development opportunity. I don't want to be able to coach everything. I want to be able to let the coaches develop as well. So you start them out with the U16s. If you get them in the pipeline for the U16s, instead of, we just had U18. So we had like 1 or 2 years with them. But if we identify these players at U16, then that you're doubling the time with them. So now you're developing the time at 15 and 16 and 17 and 18, 4 years. Now we get the U14s. Obviously, not every single player is going to be at U14s. That's going to be going forward and moving forward, because bodies always change and people go. But if we can identify these players a whole lot earlier in our system, and there's a lot of great rugby players like a Seth Smith that can't, maybe not like Seth potentially, but are going to be great players that are in the system. We can give them resources and to give them, expectations how to go, then they're going to be able to succeed. And they go back to their clubs and they tell the standards, and then it rises all the tides, and we all get better within the community. And not every player is going to make it, through the pathway, but these guys are going to be fans for life, hopefully, and huge SaberCat fans going forward. And you're building out, future fans, season ticket holders. And, we need more eyes on the game. And right now there's a lot of players probably that get caught up in the path, don't get lost in the cracks in the pathway. If they go to American football, that's great too. They can go back to rugby, but they have to have somewhere where they feel like it's a professional environment as well, and somewhere they can keep track. So, like I said, I'm doing hopefully planning out the stages of the fall academy for stuff. But that's sort of professional development and planning the fall academy, and just trying to grow, great young players.
Planting those seeds is what I'm hearing.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The funny thing is, I'll tell Seth's brother. I don't know if Seth has a brother, Zane. He's actually got a scholarship to play at the University of Houston, a fullback, and he's probably, Seth will tell you this too, he's probably more talented than Seth. He plays 13.
Oh, wow.
He actually showed up to 2 years or 2024 at a training. He plays 13, and he got taught by Sam Hill and Talatasi. And so that's sort of, to have those, you got to have, the league has too many foreigners. Yeah, probably. But, like a team like the Anthem, you got to have the right type of foreigners to be able to teach these guys as well. So you can go all American, but at the same time, you need to have that type of balance to be able to have those foreign guys to be able to teach them. And they got to be good players, but they got to be also teachers of the game too. And are you, is that being check mark off it? And if you do, then you can see what type of players that we have. I think we had 8+ guys in the extended squad and guys that are being called up. And like I said, that's like Emmanuel Albert. You have guys that were surrounding like a Marnu Redling-Heiss that's be able to help them out, and Johan Monson and Emmanuel will tell you those help a huge part of their game. So you got to build them in. There's got to be a combination to build them right, but you got to do your homework and you got to be able to select the right ones. Easier said than done, but there's proof in the pudding. Some of these players that are American eligible and qualified, what type of level they are in the league, and it's something that the Sabre, I'm very proud of all the American guys, and at the end of the day, we want to build out the American team as well. So there's different ways to get there and get to the mission, but I think that you can help the American game while winning MLR championships. But there's a certain way that you have to sort of build it out.
To hear that you have a team for U14 and U16, that's huge, man, because up here in Washington, I had my nephew get involved, and he was trying to do U14, and they could not only 2 clubs could put together a team during the typical season. So that, I mean, we did what we could up here in Washington, but to hear that you're creating a team at the academy for that you guys are doing a real good job of recruiting. What's your how do you go about that recruiting?
Yeah, you got to have really good relationship with your clubs. There's some really great. I think there's a lot of times we're in our silos and people are doing some really great work. I think all around the country, some really great grassroots. But then they just fall apart because they don't know the next step, and they're have another real time job, and they love the game of rugby and sharing, and then the player doesn't know where to go, and they a lot of times from their high school they go to a college and it's maybe a lower level than they're used to, and they're tired of it. And they're like, why am I giving all this effort when it's a social team and the rest of the guys don't care, and you sort of lose them there in that developmental range. So, it starts from the clubs. We have some really great clubs and understanding of what they need and how we can help them, through that and what we can do. We have a event, Ruggapalooza, every year that we do for the clubs, and they come out. It's a jamboree and started their preseason, and that's something they've said that's really important to them. So that's something that we focused on, and we give them a little, and they bring a lot back. So someone challenged me in the community when I first took over. I said, I don't think we can do rugby in the fall. And the guy was like, no, I think we can. You can figure it out. And I think there's a lot of people that would be interested in doing rugby in the fall. So I started it. And every year we sort of just grew and grew. Like I said, we just didn't play any games. And then we played games last year, and now we're growing. And, we have it on Wednesday nights and Sundays. Sunday afternoon sort of worked really well within the high school football schedule. And so that's why, we did it. And we also, we created the girls side as well that is slowly building up. And, girls rugby is not very big out here in Texas, but there's a lot of great athletes that are trying to have more opportunities. And that's what we're trying, to bring. And we're trying to upload, there's a huge demographic that's being missed, I think. So they're a huge part of the program as well. So we're just trying to grow from, everywhere. It's a huge, area. There's so much to do. So for that point, like I said, for me, it's more about systems and putting those pathways in place for me that gets me excited from the youth standpoint. And then, from the coaching standpoint of me trying to push out, there's so much room and grow to get better at the coaching level and everything like that. So you're always learning, you're always getting better. There's so much to get better at. And that really motivates me to keep on pushing at the higher level. So I have sort of, both things working at the same time.
I see you. I see your energy. Like, oh man, it's contagious. Let's say, Mike, it's contagious. It makes me want to do more. Say what?
Yeah, I mean, I won't. You say, you get tired, and through the years, but or through the weeks as it going through the season, and you're doing the academy both at the same time. But then 2 weeks later, it's like, when's the next thing? So you're just ready to go. You're ready to go. It's a drug, but it's very rewarding. Like you said, the academy stuff is a lot of hard work putting in the pathways in there, especially starting up some things. But it's very rewarding, and hopefully, I know for a fact there's more players coming through there, more talented players coming through the pipeline, hopefully to be like Seth in the future. And I think a lot of players understand, okay, Seth did it. Okay, how did Seth do it? Okay, I want to get involved. How do I get better? And we just want to keep on, growing in Houston or wherever. So, yeah, it's a great opportunity.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. I think you and I could probably have like a 3-hour podcast if we just started diving into that too. My gosh. So before we close it up, the last thing I have for you, I mean, I had so much I was curious to cover with you, but like, this has been a really healthy conversation. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I got to leave a little meat on the bone for us for next time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Who would you like to shout out to that helped you in your rugby journey?
Who helped me on my rugby journey? Wow, there's a lot of people that helped me out into my rugby journey. I would probably say I have to give a shout out to my parents. They supported me throughout the whole way. A lot of rugby trainings, supporting me going to New York, going to Austin, Texas. They were, through the highs and lows, through the coaching journey, the transition of everything. It just always just been understanding and, just no questions, just always support. And when things, the only thing in rugby that's constant that I know is change. And so every year there's always change. So understanding and sticking with me through the highs and lows. As a player and a coach, things are still the same. Sometimes you don't know, as a player, I just told you my journey. You don't know where I was going to be through that. So not every day is, guaranteed through that. And same with coaching. There's always pressures and different things. And, it's easier to let go, for coach, you see these coaches and these basketball coaches that get to the highest level, like the Knicks coach, Tom Thibodeau, goes to the Eastern Conference Finals and they fire you. So there's different things like that happen as coaches. So, throughout the journey, they sort of understand and they've been always supportive from, like I said, my parents moved from 12 all the way to, I'm 34. So, 22 plus years of supporting through the journey. And some might call it craziness. I don't know.
They love their son. That's what it comes down to. That's so cool, man. Well, thank you for your time. Those that are watching, please like, share, subscribe, share it with your friends. It costs you nothing. Help us grow the game of rugby. And Mike, thank you for your time today. I appreciate you being patient with me and helping with the conversation. Because some guys don't want to talk too much, and you're a likable guy. Easy conversation every time. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, Matt. I always enjoy talking rugby anytime.
I'll see you soon, Mike. Thank you.
All right, cheers.
Love rugby? So does Matt. He is host of the Rugby 100 Club podcast, where Major League Rugby stars tell their stories. But it's more than a podcast, it's a passport. Rugby 100 Club builds epic fan trips to follow your team on the road. Game day tickets included. Tailgates and fan meetups? You bet. Unforgettable memories every single time. Rugby 100 Club, where fandom meets the road.